Hello guys, welcome back to this YouTube channel. This is going to be a quick one on the DXY and the EURUSD for my weekly outlook. Now let's quickly get into it. This is the dollar index on the weekly chart, and we can see that price had a sweep on this equal highs as buy side liquidity filled this imbalance. Also tapped into this weekly bearish order block. And we can see that ever since price has been selling aggressively, right? So now price move from internal liquidity to external liquidity, and then from external liquidity to internal liquidity, right? So what do we see here? This equal highs, that's external liquidity. So price has run external liquidity on those equal highs, right? Filled in this imbalance. So from this low, from this range low to that range high, where do we have discount PDRAs? I see this discount fair value gap as a high probable draw on liquidity, right? Because if price has reacted bearish from this external liquidity on those equal highs, then price should seek internal liquidity. So I'm looking for PDRAs within this bullish range as draw on liquidity. So my bias for the DXY is to see price sell to this internal liquidity. Okay, now which PDRAs exist in price that can offer the downside delivery? Now looking at price, you can see that we have formed this clean bearish weekly fair value gap. Okay, so looking into this week, I would like to see a tap into that fair value gap and start displacing lower. Okay, start displacing lower towards our weekly objective before I look for any buys. So I am bearish on the dollar index. Now, according to seasonal tendency for the dollar in March, the tendency for dollar in March is bearish. Okay, seasonal tendency for dollar is bearish. And then for foreign currencies are bullish. Okay, so yeah, price action is confirming with the seasonality. So I'm expecting bears. But let's quickly have a look at the daily chart, which is a little bit interesting. Now looking at the daily chart, obviously this is the weekly fair value gap that I want to see price come into and then sell off. But we had this bullish fair value gap being created before coming here. So for me to validate my sales, okay, for the week, I would like to see a close below this daily bullish fair value gap and then use this as an inversion fair value gap to then deliver to the downside objective. Okay, to the downside objective. Now early into the week, if price gets to the weekly fair value gap, I would want to take a scalp. So I would like to see sales. And then the first objective will be this daily fair value gap. And then when price gets here, I wouldn't be doing anything. I'll be waiting patiently for price to close below and then retest it as an IFVG for a downside delivery. So now the bias is clear. We know that price is likely going to deliver to the downside on the DXY. So we are going to expect the opposite thing on the EURUSD. So we're looking for what? Buys on the EU. So let's check the euro dollar. Now this is the euro dollar. This is the monthly chart. So what do we see here on the monthly chart? Price has reacted strongly from this monthly bullish fair value gap, validating our buys like we want to see. And what do we see? Price is reacting from this internal liquidity. Okay, internal range liquidity. So what is it going to seek? It's going to seek an external range liquidity, right? So we have this rejection block as my first objective, and then obviously that swing high. Okay, so internal range liquidity, strong reaction. Price is going to target the external range liquidity. Now let's check the weekly chart to validate our buys. So looking at the weekly chart, you can see that price has left behind this weekly bullish fair value gap. Okay, So going into the week, I would like to see a tap into that bullish weekly fair value gap and then start displacing higher to give us that that bullish delivery to those external range liquidity pools. Now, going into the daily chart, it gets interesting as well because we have this opposing daily bearish fair value gap. So now, early into the week, I like to take a scalp buy. If we tap into the weekly fair value gap here, I like to take a scalp buy to this fair value gap here. And then when price gets here, since I am bullish, I wouldn't be looking for sales. I'd rather wait patiently for price to close above it. Okay. And once price close above that daily bearish fair value gap, I like to see a retest to it, to use it as an inversion fair value gap to give me that upward objective. Okay, to target, we have this equal high here, relative equal high. That will be a target for the week, and then long-term objective, the rejection block that I showed you on the higher time from the monthly, and obviously that swing high. Okay, so yeah, this will be my weekly bias and narrative, and I wish you a successful week, guys. More wins. Subscribe to the channel, like this video, and turn post notification on.